Hey guys, John coming to you from Evolve Custom Rod Shop, showing you my take on how to put concept guides on a fishing rod. If you don't have a build sheet, for example, this is a RodGeeks RG42. It's a kit. I normally don't put together kits, but I really like this one and it was really simple. So I decided to go ahead and get it. Now, I don't have the build sheet, so I need to figure out where to put the guides. First thing I'm going to do is grab my China marker so I know where I'm going to mark the guides. The next important thing with any concept guide layout is grabbing the reel. Okay, you're going to want to put the reel in the reel seat. And the reason for this is very simple. The concept guide was designed to have the line come straight off the tip of the reel to the tip of the rod, and it should be a straight line, and all the guides should gradually be decreasing all the way to the tip. That way it follows your guide train and follows your rod blank. Now most of this got turned upside down with the microwave guides, and Fuji's got their K guide setup, which is a little bit different setup as well. But there's nothing wrong with the concept guide. It works great. Now, there's a bunch of different ways to do this. I'm doing it the rough and simple way because I don't believe you need to do all the measurements. If you want to do all the measurements with height to the reel seat, to the length of the rod, it may not even work on this rod. And the reason I say that, it's only 42 inches long. So I'm only coming out 14 inches. Normally my first guide is at, anywhere from 16 to 25 inches. This is very important based on the fact that this is a 42-inch rod blank. So I have to make some adjustments. The other thing is they gave me a kit with X amount of guides. I want to make sure all these guides fit. There's a reason they set it up with this many guides. This is supposed to mimic a full-size bass rod. So if you look here, I take an initial reading, and it's a little lower than the tip of the spool, but it's not hateful, okay? And based on the fact that, again, the rod is only 42 inches long, you have to kind of figure out what you're going to do here. So I'm going to go ahead and put the second guide on just based on looking at it. You see I didn't pull out my measuring tape. I'm just literally trying to look at a straight line to the tip. It's super easy to do on a 42-inch rod because you can see it in your peripherals. So all you do is you look at it and you're like, oh, this looks about right. I'll continue to put the guides on. As you can see, I'm just using masking tape. You can glue the guides on. You can use the rubber band method. There may be even some other methods that I've never tried before. But I'm just going to use it tape for ease of use. Now with the smaller guides, I should have used my smaller tape. It would have been a lot easier. But I'm just showing this for demonstration, so I'm using the bigger tape for now. So when you get to the tip of the rod, it gets kind of goofy because, where do you put stuff? The other thing is these two guides near the tip are the same size. And I think they did that because it's a 42-inch rod. So I got an extra guide here. What do I do? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my entire guide train, and I'm going to start moving stuff around to allow all these to fit and still maintain that straight line through the guides. And as you can see, it's not incredibly difficult. There's no real science behind it. Once you've put a couple guide trains on, it'll all make sense. When you have never done this before, it's very, very different. And you're just looking, well, what do I do? what do? I'm hoping this video will help that some, because it is really, I'm just looking at the rod. I'm not taking measurements right now. I'm looking at the physical rod. Do I have a straight line going from the reel to the tip? These are concept guides. If they give you a build sheet for a rod, what you can do is you can actually build it and look at it. Look at the rod and how it's built. How are the guides laid out? This is really important because this will help you when you don't have a build sheet and you need to figure it out on your own. So make sure you're not just putting a guide here because you're putting a guide here. Put a guide here for a reason. If you notice, I took the stand out of the way. I'm going to now bend the rod. I want to look at these guides. I want to think about how that line is going through these guides. Is it going to hit my blank? Do I have a nice even arc based on the bend of the rod? If you notice, my base guide here is actually sitting almost right where the rod starts to bend. That's almost perfect. Okay, because you don't want it in the backbone of the rod. It doesn't do you any good at the base of the rod. You need it up just as the rod starts to bend. Now I'm pulling out my measuring tape, and what I'm looking at is very simple. I'm making sure that the guides have a descending distance towards the tip, i.e. 5 inches, 4 inches, 3 inches, 2 inches, and so on, because the rod blank is tapered. Okay, therefore everything is going to be tapered. Your measurements are going to be tapered. Everything is tapered. I do make some adjustments here because my first two guides were like, one was 3 inches from the tip and the other guy was 3 inches from that. So what I'm doing is I'm moving them around a little because I know that rod blank is tapered. My next one I'm building on these 42s is going to be with the microwave guides, and I will do a video on how I'll set it up on this rod blank. Microwave guides come with a build sheet guide, which is super helpful because now you have a place to start. And it's also not as important as the reel, other than the distance to your first guide. Now, I've made my final measurements. I'm checking the bend in the rod. Everything looks good. Guys, if you have any questions about this, don't hesitate to ask. Thanks for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe. Share my video. That helps me out a lot.